Lieutenant Alex Carter had seen countless stars in his life, but tonight the sky felt different. From the observation deck of his ship, the stars shimmered like a million tiny lanterns scattered across a black ocean. He had been assigned to patrol the outer rim of human space, a quiet and lonely sector, far from the familiar worlds of Earth. He liked it that way, quiet, peaceful, until now. The sensors on his ship had picked up unusual signals from a nearby planet called Lyria. Official reports were vague, something about a Lyran ambassador seeking human allies. Alex was no diplomat. He was a soldier, trained to act, to fight, to survive. Still, he felt a pull, something stirring deep inside him, as if the universe itself was asking him to go there. When the shuttle touched down, Alex was not prepared for what he would find. The planet was alive with colors he had never seen. Crystal trees rose high into the sky, reflecting the sunlight in sharp, dazzling patterns. Rivers glimmered like liquid silver. The air was sweet, scented with flowers he couldn't name. And then he saw her. She was standing near the edge of a crystal lake, tall and elegant, her skin shimmering like liquid moonlight. Her hair flowed like a river of starlight, and her eyes, deep violet and endless, locked on him instantly. But it wasn't just her beauty that struck him. It was the sadness she carried. Every movement, every tilt of her head spoke of someone who had been hurt, who had faced judgment and lost. She stepped forward gracefully, yet there was hesitation in her step, as if each move cost her something. "Lieutenant Carter," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I am Solara. I have come to ask for your help." Alex blinked. He had dealt with alien leaders before. Some were cold, some were cruel, all were distant. But something in Solara's voice made him pause. There was honesty there, a vulnerability he could not ignore. "Help?" he asked cautiously. "With what?" Her violet eyes flickered with pain, and she swallowed hard. "My people, my kind, they have rejected me. I cannot stay. I cannot return. And yet my duty is not done. I need someone who understands courage, who does not turn away in fear. I think you are that person." Alex took a step closer, keeping his weapon at his side more out of habit than fear. He had been trained to fight aliens who saw humans as weak, but this was different. This was someone who needed understanding, not bullets. And somehow, even though he didn't know her, he felt drawn to her as if fate had twisted their paths together. Solara's gaze did not waver. "I have been cast out, Lieutenant. My people call me a disgrace, a shame to Lyria. I tried to obey, I tried to follow their laws, but my heart would not allow it. I cannot live among them anymore." Her voice broke slightly, and Alex noticed the faint tremble of her hands. He wanted to say something that could make the weight on her shoulders lighter, but no words came immediately. He could only nod slowly, letting her know he was listening, that he understood her need for help. Then, "Will you help me?" she asked, almost pleading. There was no pride in her voice, no titles, no formalities, just raw honesty. Alex felt a surge of determination, stronger than any mission briefing or command order he had ever received. He took a deep breath and said, "I'll help you. But first you need to tell me everything, every danger, every secret, every reason your own kind rejected you." Solara's eyes softened, and for the first time since he had seen her, there was a small, fragile smile on her lips. She stepped closer to the crystal lake, letting the light dance across her skin, and began to speak. The sun dipped lower behind the crystal trees, painting the world in shades of gold and violet. And in that moment, amidst the beauty and the quiet, Alex realized that his life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. For in Solara, he did not see just an alien in need. He saw a story waiting to unfold, a story of courage, rejection, and a chance for something greater than either of them could have dreamed. Solara led Alex deeper into the crystal forest, her movements elegant yet heavy with unease. Every step she took seemed deliberate, as if the ground itself reminded her of the rejection she carried. Alex followed silently, noticing how the light from the crystals danced across her silver-like skin, highlighting the subtle tension in her shoulders. He had seen many warriors and diplomats, but never anyone who seemed so strong and yet so fragile at the same time. Finally, they reached a small clearing where a waterfall shimmered in the violet twilight. Solara stopped, staring at the cascading water, her hands clenching at her sides. She took a trembling breath and began to speak. My people, my family, they do not accept me. I tried to follow their rules, to honor their ways, but I could not. I could not hide who I am. I could not ignore what I felt was right. Alex listened carefully, feeling the weight of her words. He had faced betrayal in wars, but this was different. This was not about strategy or politics, it was personal. This was the heartbreak of being cast out by the ones who were supposed to love you unconditionally. They call me a shame, Solara continued, her voice barely above a whisper. A disgrace to my kind. They do not see the choices I made were for them, for our people, but they only see what is different, what they fear. They want me gone, and now I have nowhere to turn. Her violet eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Alex felt a pang in his chest. He had grown up in a world where humans sometimes turned on each other. But the way Solara had been treated, it struck him deeply. Her pain was raw, real, and yet there was a quiet dignity in how she bore it. You're not alone anymore, Alex said softly, stepping closer. Whatever your people say, it doesn't define you. It doesn't decide your worth. Solara turned to him, her expression a mixture of hope and disbelief. But you don't understand, Lieutenant. My world, my entire life, was built around rules I could not follow. And now I'm rejected with no family, no home, no future. How can you offer help when my own kind cannot? Alex shook his head slowly. I may not understand your world completely. I may not know every law, every custom, every danger. But I do know one thing. Humans fight for what they believe is right. And if that is courage, then I can offer that. I can stand by you, Solara. I can help you find a future, even if it's not the one your people wanted for you. Her hands trembled as she reached for his. I have never trusted anyone like this before, she admitted. Not my own people, not my closest friends, no one. I don't know why, but I feel safe with you, and I need that safety. Alex squeezed her hands gently, feeling a connection he had not expected. There was something in her vulnerability that stirred a protective instinct deep within him. Something stronger than duty or training. He realized that helping Solara was no longer just a mission, it was personal. Solara looked down at their joined hands, then back at him. Lieutenant Carter, if you choose to stay with me, not because you have to, but because you want to, I think I could survive. I think I could be more than just someone rejected. Alex nodded firmly. I'm here, Solara. Not because it's my job. Not because anyone told me to. I'm here because I want to be. And I promise we will find a way. Together. For a long moment they stood in silence, the waterfall's gentle roar filling the void between them. The air felt lighter, as if some of the weight Solara carried had lifted, if only a little. For the first time in days, she dared to smile. A small, fragile smile, but one full of hope. And in that quiet, magical clearing, Alex realized something important. Sometimes courage wasn't about fighting wars or facing enemies. Sometimes courage was simply standing with someone who had been rejected by the world and saying, "You are not alone." The days that followed were a mixture of work, discovery, and quiet moments that neither Alex nor Solara expected. They spent hours in Lyria's crystal forests, studying alien technology, learning strategies, and understanding the delicate balance of her world. Alex was amazed at Solara's intelligence and courage. She navigated the complexities of her people's systems with grace, but there was a fire in her that never let her settle for what was wrong or unfair. Solara, in turn, was fascinated by Alex's humanity. He did not understand everything about her world, yet he faced every challenge with determination. He laughed when she tried earth foods she found strange, grimaced when she spoke of some of the harsher customs of Lyria, and yet he never judged her. It was different from her own people. Here she felt valued, seen, not as a Lyran, not as an ambassador, but as herself. One evening, under the twin moons of Lyria, they sat by a river that reflected the night sky. Solara tossed pebbles into the water, watching the ripples fade. Alex sat beside her, shoulders relaxed, trying to hide the nervousness he felt. "Do you ever wish you were human?" he asked, his voice quiet. Solara shook her head slowly. "No, I would not trade my people for anything. But I do wish someone had understood me sooner. Someone who could see past what my kind says, and see who I truly am." Her eyes met his, and for a moment, the entire world seemed to shrink around them. Alex swallowed. feeling a flutter in his chest he had not felt in years. He wanted to tell her that he understood, that he could see her, but the words felt too heavy, too important to speak aloud. Instead, he reached out and brushed a strand of her shimmering hair behind her ear, a gesture small but intimate. Solara's breath caught and her violet eyes widened, but she did not pull away. They continued their work, but the silence between them began to carry weight. Shared glances, small touches, and quiet laughter became their unspoken language. Alex noticed how Solara's smile seemed to grow more genuine each day, how her laughter became lighter. And Solara noticed the way Alex's eyes softened when he looked at her. The careful way he stood by her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. One afternoon, they discovered an ancient Lyran archive long forgotten by her people. The holographic texts spoke of Lyria's history, its wars, and the choices of leaders who had come before. Solara traced her fingers over the glowing symbols, her voice barely a whisper. My people would have ignored this knowledge. They care only about control, tradition, and appearances. They do not care about what could save us, what could help us grow. Alex stood behind her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Then maybe it's up to people like us to make it right, together. His words were simple, but Solara felt the truth in them. For the first time in years, she felt someone believed in her vision, not her status, not her titles, just her. The night drew close and they camped beneath the luminous trees, their small fire flickering between them. Solara spoke softly. I never thought I could trust again, Alex, but I feel safe with you. Not as a soldier, not as a friend, but as myself. Alex's hand found hers across the firelight. I feel the same. You don't have to hide with me. Not ever. For a long while they sat in silence, the stars reflected in the river, the gentle hum of the forest around them. In that quiet, something unspoken blossomed. A connection deeper than friendship, warmer than camaraderie, something that neither had expected but both could feel. And as the twin moons rose higher, casting silver light over the crystal forest, Alex realized something he had never thought possible. He was not just drawn to Solara because of duty or curiosity. He was drawn to her because she made him feel alive, because she reminded him of what courage and heart truly meant. In the quiet glow of Lyria, the bond between human and alien grew stronger, a fragile but undeniable bridge forming between two worlds and two hearts. The crystal halls of Lyria's capital were cold and unwelcoming, despite the brilliant colors of the walls. Solara walked beside Alex, her steps measured but heavy. She had been summoned by the Lyran Council, a tribunal of her own kind whose faces were carved in expressions of judgment and disdain. The moment she entered, the air seemed to thicken, pressing against her chest. Solara of Lyria, one counselor said, voice like ice, you stand accused of betrayal. You have rejected our laws, defied our traditions, and dishonored our people. How do you answer these charges? Solara lifted her chin, though her hands trembled slightly. I followed my heart. I acted to protect my people, to save what could be saved. I did what I believed was right, even when it was difficult. A counselor sneered. Right? You call this right? You disobeyed our rules, ignored our orders, and brought shame to Lyria. You are a disgrace, and for that you must be cast out. The words cut Solara like shards of glass. She had known judgment would come, but hearing it spoken aloud, seeing the faces of those who once claimed to be her family, it hurt more than she could have imagined. Tears burned her eyes, but she forced herself to stand tall. I am not ashamed of what I did. I am ashamed only that my people cannot see beyond their fear and pride. Alex stood beside her, silent but steady. His presence gave her strength, a reminder that she was not truly alone. Even so, the council's words were relentless, echoing through the marble chamber. Your exile is permanent, another counselor declared. You have no place in Lyria. You are forbidden to return. Leave our world and never come back. Solara's heart ached. She had lost everything in that instant, her family, her home, her history. For a moment she wanted to collapse, to cry until there was nothing left. But Alex's hand on hers steadied her. His calm gaze met hers, unshakable and full of quiet determination. You are not alone, he whispered. I am here. I will not let them define you. We can face this together. Solara looked at him, her tears finally spilling, glimmering like liquid light on her cheeks. She had never expected a human to offer this kind of support, this kind of understanding. The kindness in his eyes was foreign, yet more real than anything she had known among her own people. I have nowhere to go, she admitted, voice trembling. I have no home, no family, no future. I am lost. Alex tightened his grip on her hand. Then we'll find a new home. We'll build a future, not dictated by fear, not controlled by others, but one we choose for ourselves. The council continued to watch, cold and unyielding, but their judgment no longer mattered to Solara. She had faced their condemnation and felt its sting, but she also felt something stronger. Hope. Not hope from her people, not hope from tradition, but hope from someone who chose her for who she was. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Solara allowed herself to breathe, to believe that she could start again. She had lost Lyria, but she had not lost herself. And she had not lost the human who had shown her that courage and love could cross even the greatest divides. As they left the council chambers, Solara glanced at Alex. Thank you, she whispered. For not letting me fall alone. Alex gave her a small, reassuring smile. You'll never have to fall alone, Solara. Not ever. Outside, the crystal city glimmered under the twin moons. The wind carried the scent of freedom, of new beginnings. Exile could not bind her spirit, and judgment could not break her heart. For with Alex by her side, she realized that she could face anything, even the rejection of her own kind, and still find a life worth living. And in that moment, Solara understood something vital. Sometimes, losing everything meant gaining the one thing that truly mattered, a chance to choose your own destiny. The night on Lyria was quiet, except for the soft hum of the crystal trees swaying in the gentle wind. Alex and Solara walked together along a narrow path, the light from the twin moons reflecting on the shimmering ground. There was a silence between them, but it was not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that carried meaning, the kind of quiet that spoke of trust and growing connection. Solara stopped and looked up at the sky, her violet eyes reflecting the stars above. The stars, they remind me of home, she said softly, or what home should have been. Her voice trembled slightly, carrying the weight of her exile and loss. Alex stepped closer, careful not to crowd her, but close enough to offer comfort. You still have a home, he said gently. Not your world maybe, but somewhere. And someone. You're not alone, Solara. She shook her head, a small, bitter smile forming on her lips. I have never trusted anyone like this, she admitted. Not my family, not my people, not even my closest friends. And yet, I feel safe with you. I don't understand it, but I do. Alex felt a warmth spread through his chest, a mix of surprise and certainty. You don't have to understand everything, he said softly. You just have to know that I'm here. That's all that matters. Solara turned toward him, searching his face as if looking for a hidden truth. Alex, do you really see me? Not as an alien, not as someone who failed her people, but as me. He took a deep breath and nodded. I see you, the real you, and I like what I see. More than like. He paused, realizing how hard it was to express something so personal. I care about you, Solara. Not because I have to, not because it's my duty, but because I want to. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. The only sounds were the soft rustle of the crystals and the distant whisper of the wind. Solara's hand reached out, trembling slightly, and rested on his. The contact was electric, gentle, and full of meaning. I never thought someone could see me like that, she whispered, voice breaking. After everything, after being rejected, I thought I would never feel safe, never feel loved. Alex stepped closer, careful not to frighten her, but close enough that their hands were fully intertwined. You are loved, Solara. Right here. Right now. I won't let anyone, not even the stars themselves, make you feel alone again. For a long moment, they just stood there, looking at each other. The fear, the rejection, the pain of exile, all of it seemed to fade under the quiet glow of Lyria's twin moons. For the first time in years, Solara allowed herself to hope, allowed herself to imagine a life that wasn't defined by judgment or exile. I think I can trust you completely, she admitted softly. I think maybe I can love again. Alex's heart raced, but he kept his voice calm, steady. You don't have to rush anything. We'll take it one step at a time. But I want you to know, I am here for everything. For every challenge, every fear, every joy. Solara smiled through her tears, a mixture of relief and happiness lighting her face. Alex, I want that. I want you in my life. Not just as a friend, not just as an ally. I want you by my side always. Alex's chest tightened with emotion and he could feel the weight of her words. Slowly, carefully, he drew her closer. Then we'll face the universe together. Whatever comes, we face it together, you and me. Solara rested her head lightly on his shoulder and the two of them stood under the stars, the crystal trees shimmering around them. In that quiet, magical moment, they both understood something profound. Sometimes love does not come from safety, or duty, or even expectation. Sometimes it comes from courage to see each other, to trust each other, to stand together against a world that would tear them apart. And for the first time, Solara felt that she had found her true home, not in a place, but in a human heart. The crystal grove was quiet, bathed in the soft light of Lyria's twin moons. Solara and Alex had spent the day preparing plans for her people, reviewing strategies and exploring ways to help her world survive, without sacrificing what she believed was right. But now, in the stillness of night, the work and worries of the day melted away, leaving only them and the gentle hum of the forest. Solara sat by the shimmering river, her hands folded in her lap. Her eyes reflected the silver glow of the water, deep pools of thought and emotion. Alex sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched, feeling the warmth of her presence. For days now he had seen her strength, her courage, her wisdom, but tonight he also saw the vulnerability she tried to hide, the quiet ache of someone who had been rejected by her own kind. Alex, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I have lived my life surrounded by rules I could not follow. I have been judged, cast aside, and left with nothing. I don't know what it means to start over. Alex turned to her, his eyes soft but steady. It means exactly what it sounds like. A chance to choose your own path. A chance to be free. And you won't be alone. I'm here. I won't let you face this by yourself. Solara's gaze dropped to the river, her fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. I never imagined someone like you, a human, could offer me this, could see me for who I truly am and still want to stand by my side. Alex reached for her hand, his fingers brushing against hers. The simple touch spoke more than words ever could. Solara, I don't care what your people think. I don't care about traditions or expectations. I see you, the real you, and I want to be with you. For everything you are, everything you believe, everything you hope to become. Her violet eyes widened, a mixture of fear, disbelief, and hope flashing across her face. You would choose me? Even after everything? Even though I am different? Yes, Alex said, his voice firm and unwavering. Different doesn't scare me. It's what makes you, and I want all of you. Solara's hands shook as she held his. Tears brimmed in her eyes, not of sorrow, but of relief and joy. The weight of years of rejection, judgment, and exile seemed to lift slightly. For the first time, she dared to imagine a future that belonged to her, a life she could shape with someone she trusted completely. She took a deep breath, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex, I want that too. I want to be with you. I want a life where fear and judgment do not control me. Where we choose our own path. Alex smiled, gently brushing a tear from her cheek. Then let's do it. We don't need anyone else's approval. We'll face the universe together, and whatever comes, we face it as a team. You and me. Solara looked into his eyes, her heart racing, her lips trembling. She felt the courage she had always longed for. The kind that did not come from titles, duty, or power, but from trust and love. And in that moment, she made a decision that would change her life forever. Alex Carter, she said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. Will you be my husband? Alex's heart stopped for a brief moment, overwhelmed by the weight of her words. Then with a steady breath, he pulled her into his arms. Yes, Solara. Yes, I will. I will be your husband. I will stand by you no matter what for the rest of our lives. Solara's tears flowed freely now, a mix of joy and relief. For the first time, she felt completely safe, completely seen, completely loved. And as the twin moons cast their silver light over them, the crystal grove seemed to shimmer brighter, reflecting not just the light of the world, but the light of hope, courage, and love that now connected a human and a Lyran forever. Months had passed since Solara's exile, and life had changed in ways she could never have imagined. Earth was different from Lyria, but she had found a home here, not in the buildings, not in the customs, but in the hearts of those who welcomed her. Humans were messy, unpredictable, and imperfect, yet there was honesty in their ways, a courage that inspired her. And among them, Alex stood beside her every day, steady and unwavering, a reminder that love could cross worlds. They had settled near a peaceful lake outside the city, a place that reminded Solara of her crystal forests without carrying the pain of her rejection. Together they explored, laughed, and shared stories of their worlds. Alex had taught her to appreciate simple things: rain on the grass, the taste of bread fresh from the oven, the warmth of a fire at night. In return, Solara showed him how to read the stars in ways humans never could, teaching him about the constellations of Lyria, the paths of alien rivers, and the history of a people he would never have known without her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Solara leaned against Alex's shoulder, her hand wrapped around his. "I still can't believe this," she whispered. "Rejected by my own kind, and now I have everything I ever wanted." Alex smiled, brushing a strand of silver-violet hair from her face. "You earned this, Solara. You didn't change yourself for anyone. You stayed true to who you are, even when it was hardest. And that's what makes you incredible." She laughed softly, the sound light and free, carrying no trace of the fear and sadness that had once weighed her down. "Incredible, maybe, but it's also because of you. You didn't just accept me, you chose me. And that choice changed everything." Alex's hand found hers, fingers interlaced. "We chose each other," he said simply. "And that's the kind of courage no council, no tradition, no law can ever take away." The nights were their favorite. They often sat by the lake, watching the stars reflect on the water. Sometimes Solara would talk about Lyria, the people she loved and lost, the crystal forest she could never return to. Sometimes Alex would share stories of Earth, of humanity's struggles and triumphs, of battles fought and lives saved. And through it all, they realized something important: love. Courage and hope were stronger than any borders, any species, any fear. One night, under a sky painted with countless stars, Solara rested her head on Alex's shoulder. "I was rejected by my own kind," she murmured. "I thought I would never belong anywhere. But I was wrong. I belong here. I belong with you." Alex tightened his hold, a smile in his voice. "And I belong with you, Solara. You've shown me what true courage is, what it means to fight not just for survival but for hope and love. That's humanity in the best way." "That's you." Solara looked up at him, eyes shining with tears of joy. "You make me believe in more than just survival," she said softly. "You make me believe in us. And in the future." Alex kissed her forehead gently, feeling the weight of the past lift from her shoulders. "Then we'll keep building it," he whispered. "Together. No matter what comes, we face it side by side. That's our strength." As the night carried on, the lake shimmered like liquid starlight, reflecting not just their images but their shared journey of pain, courage, and finally, love. Solara smiled, feeling a peace she had never known, and Alex held her tighter, feeling a joy he had never imagined. In that quiet moment, they understood something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in weapons or technology, but in its capacity to love, to protect, and to choose courage over fear. And in each other's arms, Alex and Solara knew that no matter the universe, no matter the trials, they had found something eternal, a love that could never be broken, a home that could never be taken, a future they would build together. And under the endless stars, with hearts intertwined, they embraced the promise of tomorrow, proof that even across worlds, humanity could shine brighter than any crystal forest, stronger than any tradition, and warmer than any exile.